You're representing the people of Bideford. You know that the Little White Town tagline for Bideford is entirely based on houses and how they were painted. It has nothing to do with skin colour.
All who have travelled through the delicious scenery of North Devon must needs know the little white town of Bideford.
That sounds a bit risky, that.
Which slopes upwards from its broad tide river paved with yellow sands and many arched old bridge where salmon wait for autumn floods toward the pleasant upland on the west.
It's got to go, guys.
Why do you want to change 150 years of gentle, sweet heritage involving the colour of houses? Because it's racist.
Good morning. Yes, I am the Conservative councillor locally for Bideford North, and I am an advocate for the town. And my own personal views is I don't want to see the sign removed, and I'm actually passionate. I love my town. My personal view, I'm passionate about the town. I do not want the sign to change.
So how many residents complained?
I've had a plethora of residents complain.
What's a plethora?
Goodly number of people. And if it's one person, one person's voice, if it's not one person's voice, if it's one person's voice, it's entitled to be heard. My job is just a tiny town councillor.
Mr McGough, I totally get that, entitled to be heard. But changing the entire nickname of the town on one person's voice would seem extraordinary, because if I lived in Bideford, I'd think, well, I can get anything changed.
It's got to go, guys.
Above the town, the hills close in, cushioned with deep oak woods, through which juts here and there a crag of fern-fringed slate.
The motion I put to the town council was the words of the residents and the concerns that they raised to me. Now, I was mortified when it came to...
Now, you're saying residents.
Sorry,
so hang on. So how many?
Can we clarify one thing here?
And who thought of the words whitewash? Exactly what are they trying to imply? You're only clean if you're white? I think that's bang out of order.
I'm absolutely baffled, because I thought the motion you tabled to remove the sign said, following a number of complaints from parishioners, I propose that the words Little White Town are removed from all signs within the town and at the town entrances. Was that your motion or not?
That sounds a bit risky, that.
That was a motion.
You just said the complete opposite. You just said you don't want that to happen.
No. Let me have my view. That's the motion I put forward on behalf of the people, because I'm there to actually represent.
No, you said following a number of complaints from parishioners, I propose, you, Dermot McGough, I propose the words Little White Town are removed from all signs of the town.
Below, they lure and open more and more in softly rounding knolls and fertile squares of red and green.
And at the town entrances, you've just sat here and your job, my job as a town councillor is the views of the public.
So you have proposed,
the views of the public.
So you have proposed that the words Little White Town are removed from all signs in the town.
It's got to go, guys.
This was the motion I put forward on behalf...
Have you proposed it or not?
This is the motion I put forward on behalf of the
It shouldn't be a difficult thing, Mr McGough. You proposed a motion that said, I propose the words Little White Town are removed from all signs. Did you do that or not?
This is the views of the residents who raised their concerns.
Did you propose the motion?
And the motion was put forward in my name because a resident can't put a motion to the table.
Did you propose the motion?
My name's on the motion on behalf of the resident.
Until they sink into the wide expanse of hazy flats, rich salt marshes and rolling sandhills, where Torridge joins her sister Tor.
Black Death? I don't even want to know why you called it that. I won't believe you even if you told me. We all know.
And both together float quietly toward the broad surges of the bar and the everlasting thunder of the long Atlantic swell.
So the answer is yes.
Those are not my views.
Mr McGough, so you're proposing a motion that you totally disagree with?
I'm putting motion to the table because as a councillor, your opinion should not come into it. As a town councillor, you've got to represent the views of everybody.
So you proposed a motion that the words Little White Town are removed from all white signs, even though you believe the complete opposite.
Pleasantly, the old town stands there, beneath its soft Italian sky, fanned day and night by the fresh ocean breeze, which forbids alike the keen winter frosts and the fierce thunder heats of the Midland. And pleasantly, it has stood there for now.
Why would I go against my own town?
I don't know. You're the one who proposed the motion.
Perhaps 800 years since the first Grenville, cousin of the Conqueror, returning from the conquest of South Wales, drew round him trust his Saxon serfs and free Norse rovers with their golden curls and dark Silurian Britons from the Swansea shore, and all the mingled blood which still gives to the seaward folk of the next county their strength and intellect, and even in these levelling days, their peculiar beauty of face and form.
Right.
I love Bideford.
Well, why don't you propose a motion to keep it then?
The motion in there went to the town council, and the town council actually debated not to remove the Little White Town sign.
But the reason this is
they amended it. They put a motion to amend it to say Charles Kingsley.
I get it. I know what happened. What I'm baffled about is how this has ever come to be debated. It's utter lunacy.
And
the reason it's become debated is you're the person who proposed the motion. I know it's frustrating for you. You're the bloke who proposed the motion.
Mr. McGough, I haven't established yet how many people complained. If you're doing something which you don't believe in, but it's triggered by complaints, how many have to get you to do something that you don't even back yourself?
Why would I go against my own town?
I don't know. You're the one who proposed the motion.
I'm borderline triggering.
Well, let's be honest, even if one person... It's taken me 2 months to table this motion on behalf of the residents who raised their concerns. Now, you can say...
But is it one person who complained?
One person's voice, a minority's voice, should be heard.
You know, this guy's got a point. We have got to cleanse these words, because our children are going to be confused. When you hear the term White Christmas, that scares me.
How many have to get you to do something that you don't even back yourself?
It's not right. You should have a neutral word that doesn't affect any demographic. Whether you're talking, explaining a piece of food, whether you go into a park, whether you've got the name of a street, or town or city.
Yeah, but hang on. Let me just read what you say in your own motion again. Following complaints from parishioners, I propose the words Little White Town are removed from all signs within the town and at the town entrances. You.
That sounds a bit risky, that.
Dermot McGough proposed. Conservative group leader. It's not ambiguous. It's not somebody else or the parishioners propose or someone's doing it, I'm doing it against my will. You propose. Let's get
back to the clarity of a motion. A motion goes forward via a councillor, goes through.
Yeah.
A member of the public cannot put a motion forward, Piers.
Right, but you...
you
willingly proposed a motion.
Which I've done so in my name,
right,
because they can't put it from a parishioner.
And why did you propose the motion?
This ain't right. So I'm going to take a leaf out of this councillor's book. I've got a list up of all the names of the towns and cities around England, and I'm going to methodically go through them all. And if I catch any of them with the word white or black in it, I'm going to set a petition going.
I put the motion forward on behalf because they raised concerns. I've done my job as town councillor. The concerns was the racial slur on the town.
And why didn't you say, what a load of nonsense?
I'm borderline triggering.
But at the time we're a fair right. But at the time we're a fair right. Bideford was not merely a pleasant country town, whose quay was haunted by a few coasting craft. It was one of the chief ports of England.
How many have to get you to do something that you don't even back yourself?
It furnished 7 ships to fight the Armada, even more than a century afterwards, say the chroniclers. It sent more vessels to the northern trade than any port in England, saving London and Topsham.
To abolish it, and where it's white or black, I think we should put the word grey, because that ain't going to offend no fucker then.
The centre of a local civilization and enterprise. Small, perhaps, compared with the vast efforts of the present day. But who dare despise the day of small things, if it has proved to be the dawn of mighty ones?
Listen, if we're going to play this game of divide and conquer, we've got to do it properly.
And it is to the sea life and labour of Bideford and Dartmouth and Topsham and Plymouth and many another little western town that England owes the foundation of her naval and commercial glory. It was the men of Devon, the Drakes and Hawkins, Gilberts and Raleighs, Grenvilles and Oxenhams, and a host more of forgotten worthies, whom we shall learn one day to honour as they deserve, to whom she owes her commerce, her colonies, her very existence.
Okay, right, we've got a problem here. Blackburn. You might be pushing it a bit there. Never mind the heritage of the town, what it represents. That word gives it a bad connotation.
If you believe that.
Well, if you go back to what I just said a minute ago, 2 months it's taken me to put this to the table. I've gone back to these parishioners, raised these concerns with me. I've explained to my explanation of why it's called the Little White Town. OK? I'm a bit of a man born and bred. Why would I go against my own town?
I don't know. You're the one who proposed the motion.
I just said I've raised the concerns for them.
The only reason we're talking about this is that you proposed a motion to get rid of the Little White Town signs.
Blackpool's got to go, guys.
How many have to get you to do something that you don't even back yourself?
Never mind seaside town. Nice to be beside the sea, Don't need to worry about that.
And then if you could, for point of clarity, Mr. Morgan, point of clarity, the sign's not going to be removed. They're not going to be changed.
But
Well,
no,
that
thanks
sounds
to you.
So,
But that sounds like 2 months of wasted time.
Why have you wasted 2 months
2
of
months, 2
people's
months of-
lives?
no
Proposing
people's
a
lives. This is 2
campaign that you
months
don't
of-
agree with.
2 months of my lives I've actually raised onto it to put onto the town council to be debated
Right.
in a proper forum.
So you just...
And the views of the town councillors was to second the motion, but they didn't have to. They seconded the motion and they felt the need to discuss it in an open forum. And
If I,
come to an
if
amendment.
I say to you, look, Mr McGough, I live in Bideford, I'm very concerned that I think everybody should be shot dead
That sounds a bit risky, that.
in the town.
That's not a very
And,
nice comparison.
Something extreme like, I want everyone shot dead. Would you then propose a motion that you don't agree with, saying, I propose that everyone should be shot dead in this town?
To save any confusion, just remove it. Greypool.
You've just said the only reason you proposed a motion you completely disagree with is because some people complained.
Blackrod. Greater Manchester. That sounds a bit risky, that. Bit risky. Grey Rod.
And it was the parishioners had an idea, they wanted to get rid of the signs. So I'm taking it to a logical extension and saying, if some parishioner came to you with some other mad idea, would you then propose a motion saying that that should happen?
Blackwater and Hawley in Hampshire. What are they implying? I don't like the sound of that. Greywater and Hawley. Let's keep going.
No, you wouldn't, would you?
If I feel passionate about the town and trying to defend your town, at the end of the day, it's taken me 2 months to put this motion to the table. And
How does it help
I am
your
passionate,
town?
I am
Mr.
passionate
McGough,
about my
in
How
town.
does it help
In
your
this-
town
sorry,
to
sorry,
propose a
yes.
motion?
I am passionate about my town, and my job as a town councillor
Yeah.
is to raise the views that people put to me the
I
concerns.
would very much suggest that in the case that Piers Morgan proposes, you would absolutely not back that motion. Just a piece of advice.
Let's get straight to the chase. W. Whitechurch, Hampshire, got to go. Whitechurch, Shropshire, got to go. Whitehill, Hampshire, got to go. Definitely got to go.
I think there's a very clear answer to
I
that.
don't
You
wanna
don't
kill
need
people.
to be
I'm
either...
not trying to-
Right,
Exactly.
so you wouldn't
right.
propose it,
Killing
but you were prepared to propose a motion suggesting Little White Town is racist.
Whitnash, that sounds a little bit white to me, so I am slightly affected by that.
How many have to get you to do something that you don't even back yourself?
So I feel it has got to be changed. So personally, I would be quite happy for all those names to be removed and be replaced with the word grey.
Let's talk to Rob Braddock, because he is at the Blacksmith Arms local pub. He's changed it to the very, very, very dark grey Smith.
What is going on in Bideford?
That sounds a bit risky, that.
Piers, to quote you on this, the world has gone nuts, isn't it? I mean, it's been called the Little White Town for 150 years underneath Bideford. It's named that from Charles Kingsley's novel, which was called Westward Ho, which is a lovely little village not very far away from here. Great beaches, great car parking. He wrote about it when he came across the bridge in Bideford and he looked at the town, and at the time the houses were all lime washed back in 1850 and they were covered in ash to keep cholera down. So he stood at the end of the old bridge in Bideford, looked across, and he saw the Little White
Definitely got to go.
Town because all the houses were white.
Just to save any confusion, just so everyone can be happy and no one needs to be triggered.
It's purely a colour. There's nothing racist about it. It's a colour just like my shirt.
Yeah.
You know, it's all been blown out of proportion. It's just nuts.